Ahoy and welcome back to our Pirate Master rewatch here on the RHAP Rewind. And here we are, Chapter 2 of our 4-part series looking back at the 2007 CBS series Pirate Master. I am your captain, Rob Cesternino, back here to talk with you, joined by my first mate, my co-captain for this voyage to look back at Pirate Master, the great Aaron Robertson. Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to be in this triad with you and our special guest here tonight.
Yes, very excited to be here in the triad. I think we have a really fun group of episodes to talk about. Aaron, I don't know if you broke this up this specific way, but I felt like that episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, this was like a good piece to break off, to start with like the introduction of a twist, to go to the end of the story of a huge character on the show here in episode 7. So a lot of fun stuff to break down. And I'm very excited to be here with a man who covered Pirate Master in the real time, here to tell us why X marks the spot. Here is the great host of Why Blank Lost that he does every week during Survivor, during Big Brother with the great Jessica Lewis. Here is David Bloomberg. David, how are you?
Good. And you know, Rob, if you are the father of this podcast, I feel like I'm the warrior.
And what's Aaron?
I don't know. There's only two. Aaron probably has the pardon.
Yeah.
He probably has the pardon and got out of there.
Vanessa? Okay. David Bloomberg, how are you?
Okay. So, it was interesting to revisit Pirate Master.
Yes.
From the time when I originally covered it, did interviews with the cast
you did Express for Pirate Master?
Oh, I absolutely did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, we're in for a treat here today. So this is the second part of our series talking about Pirate Master. This is all part of the RHAP Rewind, where each month we are going back and taking a look at a old show from a day gone by. Last month, looked at Kid Nation in 5 parts. This is the second of 4 parts of our Pirate Master treasure that we are uncovering this month here in February. If you want to subscribe to our podcast feed, just in case you want to go back and do a rewatch, you can go ahead at your own pace. Subscribe at robisawebsite.com/RHAP Rewind. And just a little bit of a note up front. One of the episodes, we have not had this yet. One of the episodes for this run, episode 6, has been lost at sea. Nobody can find it. It's not on the internet. So our own Aaron Robertson, that he went ahead and did a Taran morning update style retelling of episode 6. So if you are here saying, hey, I didn't get to watch episode 6, we have a great story for you, as Aaron will give you a retelling if you search for Pirate Master 6 on YouTube. And now for a generation to come, they will only know of Pirate Master episode 6 as told by Aaron Robertson.
You know, I love being able to pass down the history of Pirate Master lore.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Sam, make sure to put in the show notes on YouTube of that. If you're a future person watching Pirate Master, go to robisawebsite.com/RHAP Rewind for the podcasts all about this show. Okay. All right. That'll be great lore for generations to come. All right. So, David, were you a Pirate Master stan at the time? Were you a big Pirate Master guy?
I would not say. I don't think there was anyone who was a Pirate Master stan, which would explain its cancellation. But even my recapper. So I covered it partially, but I had someone else who was doing the weekly recaps. And when I let her know, now I hadn't necessarily talked to her a whole lot in the last many years, but I sent her a message and said, hey, just so you know, we're covering this. And her response was something to the effect of, oh my gosh, that was a terrible show. But I have to say, rewatching it now, I think I'm enjoying it more now than I did the first time. Maybe I'm just starved for reality TV entertainment. I don't know exactly why.
So at the end of the last, our last block of episodes that we covered episodes 1, 2, and 3. Aaron said, trust me, it's gonna get better, and no lies detected. I'm actually very into the game. It is strategy wise a lot of interesting things going on the ship, Aaron.
Yeah, and I feel bad because a lot of viewers take a look at the first 3 episodes and kind of drop off, and with good reason. They aren't the strongest 3 episodes of this season. This is definitely a season that gets better the more the crew and production knows what they're doing, and the more that the players and the pirates know what they're doing. So to come into this stretch of 4 episodes, a new twist is introduced, and all of these dynamics, and the crew is starting to figure out how to game these expeditions. I mean, a lot of things suddenly open up, especially, we're starting here with 13 people, and we're going to go down to 9 by the end of this. So yeah, it's definitely very more developed as it goes on.
Okay. Well, we have a lot to cover here, talking about 4 different episodes here of Pirate Master. So let's dive in off the plank and jump into our longboats and cover this. I don't know how many different Pirate Master metaphors we could be using. Again, if you are looking for the episodes, if you want to watch any of this along, if you're listening and maybe want to go check it out. So everything is on YouTube and on Daily Motion except for that episode number 6, which Aaron had was so kind to record for all these future generations. And so I guess we're gonna have some interesting politics going on here over at the start of episode number 4. Azimuth's leadership is going to be a storyline throughout these episodes, Aaron. So remind us, where do we leave off at the end of episode number 3?
Yeah, so basically to set up episode 4, during episode 3, Jay approached Sean because Jay wanted to get rid of Cheryl. And Sean was like, I don't really want to, but I will give you my word that I will. Cut to Pirates Court. Sean's vote for Alexis, who he really wanted to get rid of, Sean did, caused a tie, and Azimuth just sent Alexis home, thoroughly ruining Jay's plans. And so coming into this, Azimuth had also just taken over for Jodan, who had been kind of hoarding a lot of the treasure for himself, not really politicking or using the money in any way, whereas Azimuth was much more social with it. So yeah, that's where we come into this episode with.
Okay. David, was all this familiar to you? Did it come back to you like riding a bike?
Some of it was familiar. Some of the people I remembered right away when I started watching it. Jodan, I remembered. Jay, I remembered, and Louis. The women, not so much. And that's, I think, one thing that I think hurt the season in general. And I think that was, to jump ahead to the cancellation, I do think that a lot of the contestants who were not memorable were unfortunately among the women. Yeah. Krista, Kendra, Laurel. I didn't remember any of them.
Yes.
And in 2 weeks, I won't remember any of them again.
Yeah, this is a very good point. I mean, we're through 7 episodes of Pirate Master. There has not been a woman captain. The women feel very cast aside here. And just to speak to the triad of Laurel, Krista, and Kendra, that, look, maybe it's bad on me, but the 3 of them are indistinguishable in terms of trying to follow this show. Like, maybe all 3 of them were just dreadful in the confessional and not giving the producers anything. But, at least Jupiter has a different look Nessa, she has she has her own storyline, with all due respect to Nessa, but the three, it's Laurel and it's Crystal and it's Kendra and Aaron. I can't tell any of them apart.
And the thing is too, is that the women outnumber the men for a lot of these episodes. And you would think that just from the sheer plurality of them being there, that somebody's, going to be memorable. But just due to the format of the show, due to the captain always being a guy, and for the better part, choosing mostly guy officers with him, with the occasional, maybe like a Nessa or a Jupiter here and there, or a Cheryl, you're not going to really see any of these women other than playing the expeditions, where they're often looked at as the more weaker competitors, unfortunately. So, yeah, I really wish we got to see more of them, but we just haven't so far.
Okay. So let's get into our story here in episode 4. Azimuth's ship is more of a party boat, Aaron. I feel like that in the first couple episodes, it was like, hey, Azimuth, he's a fair captain, but also he is not doing a great job of sort of like leading the group.
No, as we mentioned last week, that HOS Itis, the head of ship Itis, is really, really, really getting to Azimuth very, very quickly. And even though he's being more fair than previous captains, it's very easy to kind of get into that captain role and wanting to order everybody around and eating good food and not having to sleep in the crew. So, yeah, he got himself caught up in it.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, Chest of Zanzibar time, and let's take a look at what's going on. We have something about the ship's master craftsman. David, are you ever able to follow like the legend of what part of the compartment they open?
No. I mean, the only one that I paid any attention to, which is not in this episode, was one where they said the guy was a problem gambler. And I expected them to get to the treasure and find out that it was empty because he had gambled it all away. But they didn't even link that one when we get to that one. Otherwise, it just seems to be fairly pointless.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. In terms of the amounts of money, I wish that this week's and next week's money amounts were swapped. I understand introducing a twist. Maybe the treasure was a lot less this week, but still, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's get into the story of going to go out and look for the treasure. Aaron, you did such a great job of the retelling. Could you take us through the adventure?
Yeah. So basically, they all have to get in these boats and they have to row to shore, and they got to find this anchor on the beach where they're going to find this trail into the jungle. And this week's sabotage is this looks dangerous to me. It's this huge pile of coconuts. They're just stacked on each other. And basically, the black crew starts to pass the red crew and they sabotage them. And you hear this kind of Wilhelm scream of joy just being, I don't even know, like it's some sort of pseudo avalanche just swept away by these coconuts as they're rolling in. I mean, it was wild. And essentially they have to go to this cave. Azimuth decides to go in, and they have to use reflections because the master craftsman like to look at his reflection of where to go. And Azimuth feels confident, takes the black crew somewhere. Meanwhile, the red crew comes in. And, Ben's thinking, okay, I think Azimuth might have made a mistake on the on the black team. Let me take the red team to where it really is. And the red team gets to the beach and finds where to dig. And the black team's like, oh, Azimuth has been leading us on this goose chase. Jay and Krista aren't feeling too happy. They both get to the beach and are digging. But it is the red crew that's going to take this out here and find the buried treasure.
Yeah, David, Azimuth leads his team astray.
Yeah, well, he he was the only one who went down there and saw the place on the map and then took off for the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, did Louis grab somebody's butt also on this adventure?
Yes, he did. He grabbed Nessa.
Yeah.
And Nessa was like, did you just grab my butt? And he said, yeah, and I'll do it again if you fall behind. And I was like,
yeah, Louis, no.
I don't know
Louis,
about this, Louis.
No. Louis.
We did actually get a lot of Nessa this episode, which I was happy to see some more development for her. They're
Yes.
Yeah.
Making her out to be the flirt of the ship. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So this is going to come up a couple times where both teams are like digging at the same spot. This time, okay. We got the red crew, get it. And so we have a new team that is going to come into power. So Azimuth is out as the leader, and the red team gets to open the chest. And David, it's not that big of a haul.
No, not at all. But it has the pardon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a secret compartment, and there's a pardon. I think it's only $5,000 there that is awarded. And I always think it's weird, Aaron, that they end up like, I feel like this feels like a broken mechanic of the game of like, all right, let's count the money, like, and now let's elect a leader of like who's going to be. It just seems weird of like, okay, now we know how much money there is. And then also we have the whole thing where it's going to be now like the captain gets 50% of the money.
Yeah. I mean, getting 2,500 and then the other two officers getting 1,250. And then the other few members have to share 1,250, maybe like a few $100 between themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when Louis split it evenly, it's like $866. It's not that much. So I would have been mad if this is the first treasure that I found. But Louis been won all 4 weeks so far. So.
Yeah, and I mean, Louis actually was better off as captain for this particular one because he split up the small amount, and he could be all magnanimous and say, here, I'm splitting this up evenly. But then he got all the money for the pardon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's true, because whoever bid on it has to pay the holder of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think it's weird, though, that you count the money and then you vote who's going to get the most of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a weird element. I feel like it would be interesting for them to decide the captain and be like, look how much you won. You won $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Louis is the new captain, and he has 2 new officers. Sean and Nessa are going to be in Louis's cabinet, and then he is the holder of the captain's pardon, which is a new twist to the game that we'll see play out. And Aaron, I did think that this helped Pirate Master. This gave it some juice.
It really does. It's another way for players to spend money. And even though Louis, got the lowest treasure amount as a captain so far, the highest bidder has to pay him for this pardon. So he's going to walk away with probably much more change than maybe he would have had he just gotten a regular treasure.
Yep. David, basically, we have our version of the hidden immunity idol here in Pirate Master, and basically it has to get used or bought in every single round. You can't have it in back-to-back rounds. I thought that this really did help create some interesting strategy going on.
It did, and the one thing that's not necessarily great is it helps the rich people stay around. I mean, how ridiculous is it to ever think that getting a pardon would be based on if you have a lot of money or not?
Yeah.
That poor people can't get pardons, whether or not they deserve them. But it does set up that interesting, as we'll see, back and forth, where you even, later will have money being loaned and it, the money and the pardon just keeps going back and forth.
Okay. So, all right. Louis has one target in mind, Aaron, that he is still not happy with Joe Don.
Yeah. This harkens back all the way back to the first episode where Jodan, or first two episodes really, where Jodan just hoarded half the treasure and didn't really think about using any of it except for maybe influencing Jay and a little bit Sean.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Louis as a crew member was like, you're not sharing the money. You're not being generous as a captain. Got to get rid of you now.
Yeah. And David, we see Jodan try to, exploit this relationship that he has with Jay, where, he feels like he can bribe Jay. Jay will take his money, but does not actually do anything that Jodan wants him to do. But Jodan thinks that, okay, Jay, can you get Louis off my back?
Yeah, and it was one thing. Jay was perfectly willing to work with Jodan when he was in power. But now that he's not in power and he's telling him, you need to do this or else, Jay basically told him to stick it. Mm-hmm. And I think he was absolutely right to do it.
Yeah. Jay is even going to try to outbid Jodan for the pardon because he wants Jodan to go home. He's going to bid $6,001. I like that we're getting the Price is Right bidding strategy going here in Pirate Master.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also an interesting thing, too, where as far as nominating people for black spots, because let's say you're trying to target Jodan, you can make him buy the pardon. He can't use it next week. So he's going to be a lot more vulnerable and he'll have less money. So you can kind of go about it one or two ways here.
Okay. So Louis is meeting with the cabinet and seeing what he wants to do. They want to get rid of Jodan, but if they can't get Jodan, they will get Cheryl, who was served in Jodan's cabinet. That's what they'll do. And really, Cheryl, I do think kind of gets a raw deal in that, we never saw Cheryl actually do anything wrong or say a crossword to anybody. She's just guilty by association.
Yeah. And when I interviewed her, that's basically what she said. It was just like, look, I was told go, by Jodan to go and do this and assign these tasks. And she did it. And she thought that's what she was supposed to do. Whereas Ben kind of hung around in the background at that point. And so she got the blame for that.
Yeah. All right. We're going to give out our summonses with the black spots. Azimuth gets one. Cheryl gets one. She was not happy. And then Jodan gets one. And Jupiter says Cheryl's in a bad position here because, if something happens with Jodan where he doesn't stay up there, it could be Cheryl going home.
Yeah. And there's also the caveat, too, where if Jodan does get the pardon, he's going to be vulnerable next week anyway. So it could be better to get rid of the person that you think is not going to get the pardon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically vote splitting.
Okay.
First instance of idle vote splitting here.
All right. We want to go to Pirate Court. David, you like Pirate Court?
I think it's kind of a silly name, but then I guess so. We probably thought Tribal Council was a silly name when it first started, too. So,
mm-hmm. Okay. We have Pirate Court, Aaron, and our first chance to see the royal pardon in action. And, we get some good tension here between the Louis and Jodan story is a great one. It's an incredible story for Pirate Master. I think that this relationship, Jodan and Louis, I think is the best thing in the whole show, Aaron.
I really like it because Pirate Master is so fluid and sometimes you're on the same team, sometimes you're not, and you could easily be in power or not.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of forces people, especially adversaries, to kind of really assess their position every round and kind of reset how they feel about each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Louis makes this, statement to the pirates and says hey, look, the crew has the right to test the captain. And Louis will say this a lot of, I'm ready for the test. Give me the test. And he feels like when you were the captain, then you should stand trial after you get done being the captain, David. It turns out you can stand trial after you get done being the leader. That's how you stay accountable for your actions.
Yeah. I don't think so. That's against the pirate constitution.
Yeah. So that it's interesting. And he says he doesn't like Jodan. And even the host, Dado, says, but Louis, look, that you're saying Jodan takes too much money, but those are the rules of the show.
Yeah. And, when I interviewed Jodan, he said that basically was, hey, I just was told what to do here. I took the role seriously. I had a military background, and that's what I related it to. And now I pointed out to him, pirate ship is not the military. And he was like, well, we don't really know what they were like 200 years ago. So maybe it was a military structure. And he said, you put on that coat, you have more duties. And he didn't regret not sharing it. He said he was told the rules were the captain got 50%. It was not clear to him you could divvy it up. Yeah. He said he was even warned by production, and they suggested he not spend any of the money on the crew. So, he was doing, when he said there, hey, those were the rules. I got 50%. Don't take it out on me. He was still saying the same thing, after everything was over.
Okay. Aaron, this is my favorite part of Pirate Court. Defend yourself, everyone.
I love the defense. And actually, hearing Cheryl defend herself and then hearing Nessa's response to that was probably really illuminating as to maybe why Cheryl was being targeted in particular, especially over Ben. Maybe just in the sense that a lot of the crew during those first couple of episodes felt very alienated by, the captain, the officers. They didn't really sleep down there, didn't really interact with them much. They were just sort of giving these orders and just kind of following what was being said. And I just being able to hear everybody out, and there's no set rules of only the nominees can talk or only, this, I feel like makes for perfect. Like this, if we had this earlier in the show, I think it would have been much more electric.
Yeah. Asmith says that he plans to be here as wrong as possible. He's up there because I guess he blew it in the challenge. That Cameron Dado goes to Cheryl and says, Cheryl, this is 2 weeks in a row now for you. And Cheryl's not happy to be up here just because she associated with Jodan. But Nessa says, no, it was more that you didn't make, you weren't about teamwork.
Yeah, I think that she fell into the same thing as Jodan, that, nobody knew what was going on with their roles at the beginning. And another thing that Jodan said, and I would imagine Cheryl also believed, he was under the impression he was going to be captain for the whole show.
Oh.
And so he was told, he said that he told me that he was told by production the only way he could lose the captaincy was through mutiny. And so he didn't know he could lose it at the next, whatever challenge.
Well, why'd they lie to him?
He must have misunderstood. I can't believe that they were just on the fly thinking, oh, well, maybe we'll change this because we don't really want him captain the whole time.
Yeah.
But if they all thought that they were just going to be together as officers the whole time, well, then why intermingle with the rest of the riffraff?
Jodan's like, this game is very easy. I'm the captain. I have my own room. I get to eat whatever I want. And they're like, how's anybody going to beat me?
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't Kid Nation. Your roles aren't permanent until they decide not to make it permanent. There's a chance for you to lose it.
Aaron, Jodan is so good at Pirate Court because that he stands there and he gives great speeches. Jodan is the best at the Pirate Court.
Yes, I loved his speech. You're pissed at me for something I think is wrong, man. You're mad at me for one reason. That's money. I took all that money at the beginning and you're just mad at me for that. So I don't get why you'd be mad at me, but I took all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't vote me.
He calls out Louis. He says, you're an angry captain. Do you think if people are trying to keep people happy around here? They're not happy around here. I never promised you I'd split the money. I don't deserve what you're throwing at me. Like, I'm above this, Louis. Yeah. I'm not going to stoop to your level. He knows he's got the royal pardon. He knows he bid $7,000 to get it. And so he gets the pardon. I like how they do this. So then, okay. So now they dole out the pardon. Jodan got it. But then David, the host, Cameron Daddo, he makes you feel like an idiot right away. He says, you paid $7,000 for the pardon, but you didn't need it. It's like, I wasted my money.
Sometimes I wish we would get that on other shows. Like, you played an idol, but you didn't need it. You didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, if this show had gone on for multiple seasons, you probably would have then had, kind of the double bluff going on. Well, I'm going to, bid all my money to get the pardon. Oh, but wait, now I know you're not going to vote for me if I do that. So I won't spend it. And then the next season, it's, well, but wait, the third level thinking here, but they know that I know that I won't get it. So they will vote for, so yeah. We just missed out on all that strategy by the show not continuing.
But Aaron,
it would have been wild.
The show does make some weird decisions here. So it's like they want to say, okay, Jodan, you didn't need the pardon. Okay, go sit down. Okay. All right. But then it's like, okay, now he's looking at Azmith and Cheryl's like, it's a 4-3 vote. I can tell you that right now. But it was a 4-3 vote from Cheryl and Jodan. Like, Azmith wasn't in the 4-3 vote.
Yeah, that was weird. And maybe it was because, maybe it was because it was a 4-3 vote and Jodan didn't go home. They really just wanted to stick it to him and say, you spent money on a pardon you didn't need.
Yes. I don't know why they don't say that he didn't need it until after. I guess he can't go home. And it's Cheryl no matter what at that point if they tell Azmith, but I don't know. It was weird. Azmith didn't get any votes. It was a 4-3 vote. Cheryl got 4. Louie's gonna cut her loose, and Cheryl is eliminated from Pirate Master. Okay. Now, for people who have not been following Pirate Master very closely, that there is actually some very sad news about, or a sad story as part of this Pirate Master story that we're looking back at. And within a few months of Pirate Master airing, Cheryl actually committed suicide. And I don't think that we have all of the particulars about what was going on in her life, but there are some people who said that she was not happy with some news articles that were written about her, and also how things went on the show. I didn't see anything that seemed like that she got a bad edit on the show, but I also don't know the types of things that people were saying about her at the time. As we're talking about this, let me also give you, the listeners, the phone number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. And David, do you have any sort of insight about what was going on here around this time in 2007?
Yeah, we came to find out that her boyfriend had actually committed suicide 2 months earlier. So she was watching the show. He had just committed suicide himself. She did all of the press. There was no indication when I interviewed her, when anyone else did, that she was going through these troubled times. But I do think the fact that it was getting bad reviews, it was getting low ratings. She made a comment that it was a contentious point between her and her boyfriend. I don't know if he didn't want her to go or something else, but it seemed like it brought it back up, because she posted that on Nessa's MySpace page a few days after doing press. And then it was Nessa who actually broke the news on the Pirate Master Facebook group. to say, what had happened. But beyond that, all we know is she had, in retrospect, there were some signs where she said, again, on Nessa's MySpace page, I've lost the strong Cheryl. I'm just floating around lost.
Mm-hmm.
So she said some things that were indicative of being depressed just before it happened, which she actually committed suicide a week after the show was canceled, roughly a week. But just before it happened, she went on a bunch of their pages and posted good things like complimenting them, and then unfortunately she went ahead and like you said, there aren't many details, which we don't need details, so that's fine.
Yeah. So it's a tragedy. I had not known this story about it, but it was something that we came across in sort of like our research of that this was a thing that happened as part of this show. Aaron, do you have any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, reality TV can be a life-changing experience either way.
Mm-hmm.
And I commend those that are able to go out and do that, because you're kind of, some part of yourself will always be out there. I mean, my thoughts are with our families and friends since that point. I mean, it's hard to form words about something like this, but this is a very tough experience, and the fact that everybody was able to come together to do this show, whether it failed or succeeded, that should be commended.
Okay, let me give out that number one more time for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. All right, let's talk about episode number 5 of Pirate Master. And we're seeing a little bit about Jodan, how he bought the pardon. He didn't need to. David, do you like sort of like the game mechanic here of, okay, so when Jodan bought the pardon, he bought the pardon from the captain. He had to pay $7,000 to Louis. I love it. Okay. But now Jodan, whether or not he needed the pardon or not, now I understand if he didn't play it, then he could resell it. But it seems like either way, it's like he got it and now he's going to get money from the next person that wants it. So it's almost like, to me, there's like practically like no, nothing you're losing by going after the pardon.
Right. I mean, and that's kind of what I said earlier about it being, the rich can just keep doing it. And so he had the most money. He could outbid anyone. Now, someone else with a bunch of money is going to buy it from him, and it can just keep happening. It would have been interesting if they always had to buy it from the captain, if it was like the captain's pardon instead of the governor's pardon.
I think that would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it would also make electing the captain much more important, because you don't want to give them too much money because they're already getting a lot of money. So, it could really play into anything that gives players more choices is always a good thing.
Right. And it's not an investment. Okay, I buy it, and either it saves me, in which case it's an investment because I can go on to win more money, or if it doesn't save me, maybe someone will bid even higher next time, and I've made money on the whole deal.
You can flip it. Okay.
Yeah.
We're seeing a little bit of Nessa, that part of her storyline is certainly that people are saying that she's flirting with a lot of the different other pirates that are on the ship. Looks like she's bunking up with Ben here, David.
I mean, by the end there, she's only got eyes for one man. But I think they probably the producers probably made more of that than it was actually, because from what I've heard, Jodan and Nessa were an item even before that point.
Okay, well, Aaron, there's one guy who doesn't like this game Nessa's playing. That's Sean. He doesn't like this flirt card, and he's arguing with Nessa, and she is not digging Sean. Sean versus Nessa.
Yeah, this, from Sean's point of view, I didn't really understand why he was going so hard after Nessa. It makes me kind of think that I wonder if something had happened between Sean and Nessa earlier that would make him want to go after her, like, because they were just officers together, and like now all of a sudden now you're mad at like I didn't really understand quite where he was coming from. And Nessa had a good point. You know, Sean just betrayed a whole other side of people when he said that he was going to vote for Cheryl, and he didn't, and then the other side voted Cheryl out anyway the next week. So what is he arguing with her about? It didn't really make sense to me.
We know one person that has Sean's back. It's Jupiter. Yes. Jupiter, she is clearly in Sean's corner. Now, is that the Kitchen Alliance, Aaron?
Galley.
I would call it the Kitchen Alliance.
Yes.
Yeah, because both Jupiter and Sean are loosely connected with the Triad. They had sort of been working with them since the beginning. So
it's on a ship. It's a galley. You got to use the right terminology there.
Okay.
I think the cook is the best position, I would say, on the ship.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Pirates to the deck. Let's get going. We're down to 12. Chest of Zanzibar time. And so we have the pilot of the ship, that he was a gambler. He loves blackjack. That old pirate game, blackjack. And so we're going off to go find the pilot's treasure. Okay. Aaron, you do such a great job of describing the action on the beach, because it's all a blur to me. Can you take us through it?
Yeah. So we come to this week's expedition, and basically it's a lot of goose chase through the forest, and they have to get this spyglass and then hop into this longboat to find a heart that's going to lead to the next clue. However, when trekking through the forest, Louis gets the Black Crew's spyglass wet, so they can't even use it to find the thing. And
but they didn't even need it.
No. They just used a little logic and figured it out.
Yeah. And then they both eventually find the island and hike up the steep hill, and they unearth this casket. And they basically says the closest point to heaven is a palm tree in the sky. Underneath its branches is where my treasure lies. And they spot a palm tree on a hill, and they're like, that's where the treasure is. And so both teams eventually get there. And Krista, I will say, Krista is very, very good at finding where the treasure is. Now, securing a win with that knowledge, on the other hand, maybe not so much. But basically, Krista started to dig a hole, and she was like, I mean, I know it's probably here, but I can't find it. So she moves off to do something else. Jay just comes in, digs in that same spot where Krista was, because he's like, oh, it's probably there. She just didn't dig far enough. And lo and behold, he finds it. And Krista is frustrated. Yet again, she knew where it was, but just was so close to winning, but didn't get it.
Okay. All right. So red team victory. David, anything stand out to you from this mission?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think that Aaron said it best. There was a lot of running through the jungle, you know, and I think that's the truth for a lot of these challenges is, okay, go out there, run through the jungle, dig, maybe do a little climbing, do some running, maybe occasionally throw in some swimming, but mostly just running around.
Yeah. No, the stuff on the pirate ship is interesting.
Yeah.
The stuff where they leave the pirate ship to go in the jungle. It's a lot of like, is that a skull? What's going on? Okay. All right. They're digging. All right. Are they in the right place? Who knows?
Yeah.
There's an anchor.
Oh, they found it? Oh, it's over? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Red team has won. We have new leadership, and we have sort of the beginning of a thawing with Louis and Jodan. Now they're both back to officers. Aaron, they've both had their taste of power, and the feud is over.
Yeah, his vendetta is gone. He doesn't really have it anymore. So, which is good because they're gonna be pretty soon in this odd position, and maybe it's kind of smart of Azimuth here, just knowing that the tribes are all that the crews are that the crews are always going to be split up evenly and evenly matched. If you have 3 guys locked in as officers and will always be on one team, that's going to force all of the other guys to be automatically on the red crew. So it's kind of lumping Louis and Jodan together by default.
Yeah. And I asked when I interviewed Jodan, I said, how did you overcome Louis's anger for you? And he said he just beat Louis with love and brought to light how Louis was mad about the wrong things. He said, I shone the light on him and brought him out. And eventually he said, this is wrong and I'm sorry. It was a really beautiful time when that happened.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Awesome.
What a bromance. Yeah. Louis and Jodan. This is great. I love these two together. This was now I felt like, okay, I'm really in. I love this. Okay. So, meanwhile, the new administration counts out the gold, $40,000. Aaron, I like that at some point we've added like the 500 piece to it where it's like, it's not like stacks of pennies anymore.
Yeah. Thank goodness they did that because I was like, I know you need change for, maybe if you want to, separate this out properly. But in terms of counting, I don't think we really need to see, every single solitary penny of this $40,000.
Yeah. Okay. We need a new leader. And David, Azimuth is back.
He is. He did such a great job the first time that they wanted the British accent. They wanted more of that.
So, all right. Azimuth is back, and he's going to pick 2 officers, Ben and Jay. David, how does this guy, Ben, does anybody remember? He was in the Jodan administration.
Yeah, he just managed to lay low and not
he's a floater.
Not get caught up with that. Yeah, he was in the administration, but he didn't get in trouble when things went awry.
Yeah. Aaron, how's this guy doing it?
I could not tell you. There has to be something very special about Ben to, out of these 7 episodes that we've watched, he's been an officer for 5 of them and wasn't even nominated in the 2 weeks that he was not an officer. It's bonkers to me how Ben could survive through these multiple administrations, but he's there.
Yeah. Nobody ever says a bad word about him.
No.
Yeah. Okay. He's an officer. That's really all we know about him. He's not getting much more than the Laurels and the Kristas of the world, but yeah, he's there. He's part of it.
That he is.
Okay. All right. But I'm feeling like, okay, this is not going to be so great for Sean here because that we saw that, Nessa is friendly with all these guys. And then she already had it out with Sean. I'm feeling like that he is somebody who is butted heads. I'm worried about Sean at this point, even though he's giving us some drama.
Yeah, especially since also these 3, this triad that is forming of Azimuth, Ben, and Jay are going to try to stack the deck, essentially, for as long as they can to make sure that, hey, we want to keep winning. Let's get rid of the other team's guys. So yeah, Sean is probably very vulnerable.
And especially that Jay has no love for Sean.
Nope.
Right. No. Right. But the whole thing with Sean against Nessa, that this episode and that relationship or lack thereof contained my most vivid memory of the show.
Yes.
And that is, of course, the spy roof.
Yes.
Yes. That was my memory of this show. When I said earlier, yeah.
Right. As soon as if someone said to me, what do you remember about Pirate Master? I would have said, now I wouldn't have remembered her name, but it was Nessa lying on the roof, and I believe it was the galley roof, eavesdropping on Sean and Jupiter.
Yes. So that's what's going to happen. Nessa, she's up in the spy shack, and she's listening in on Sean and Jupiter, and they're talking about Nessa, and they're talking about how they should buy the pardon. Got to do it.
Yeah, try to outbid her. And she's like, the people that are out to get me better hope I don't win, because if I do, they're going down in a heartbeat. So very vital information for Nessa there.
Aaron, yes. I have a question about life on the ship, because we have a lot of talk about the gruel, about the rations. But then at the same time, like here in this scene, Sean and Jupiter, like each have a bottle of wine. Is it unlimited drinks? Like the food is limited, but you can, basically have as much alcohol as you want?
I think this is more akin to them being the cooks in the kitchen and kind of being able to, eat some of the good food. Maybe not as much as the captain, but like I can sneak a bottle or two here because I'm the one handling all the food, or
Yeah.
So is it cooking wine? They were drinking cooking wine? Is that what they were doing?
Yeah, just do a splash there, and then I just used a lot of wine in this stock this tonight. Let me just take the rest.
Yeah, there's a lot of access to rum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next day, pirate breakfast. Nessa is talking to Jodan about the pardon, and Jodan doesn't want to see her go because we'll find out that there's some chemistry there. Jodan is going to offer to give Nessa some money so that she can have the pardon. Okay, so now, David, we have people like colluding to get the pardons.
Right. I mean, he's giving her the money so she can give it back to him. And this is, again, part of the whole problem that we were talking about earlier, that the money goes to the holder of it. Would he have done that if the money would have gone to Azimuth instead? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know what those two had at the time. But in terms of their relationship, I mean, but this way it's a great deal. Hey, here's money that you're going to pay back to me. It's a no lose situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're working with the same money every time. Pretty much.
Yeah. Basically, like, let me make this cheaper for you so Sean can't afford it. And then also let me keep you in the game and then get rid of the guy that I don't want. It doesn't cost him anything.
Yeah.
All right. So we're seeing Jay trying to control things. He's trying to give some advice to Krista. Aaron, what does Jay want here? Vote out Sean?
Yeah, so basically, Laurel, I think Jay was trying to give some advice to Laurel here. Correct? Was it not Krista?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. I got Krista and Laurel confused.
Well, how could you possibly do that? They're so different.
Yeah. So basically, Laurel's whole storyline thus far that we will see is, Laurel's not really with anybody, not really taking any sides. And Jay is like, I have some type of direct or indirect influence with everybody except for Laurel. And Laurel's like, Jay is just seems like he's lying to me every time. He's not really sincere, trying to give me advice. And she is not getting good advice from Jay at all, with good reason. And refuses to really kind of listen to what he wants to do here.
Yeah. All right. Time for some black spot deliberation. And Aaron, you can be very happy to know that the Azimuth accent is back.
I'm so excited it's here. Being able to hear him sort of deliberate and pick people for black spots.
Yes. David, only when he's the captain, he has the accent. Like the blue jacket goes on and then he turns into a different person.
The blue jacket confers an accent upon him, and it's sort of British. It's sort of not. My recapper at the time compared it to Madonna's England via Detroit accent that she was putting on for a while there. So maybe that's where he got the idea from, Madonna.
Okay. They've got their eyes on Sean. Krista is going to get one. And Louis said, hey, test me after I'm the captain. I'll give you a freebie. Put me up there after I get done. Nessa.
And you mean Laurel instead of Chris.
Is it Laurel?
It's Laurel.
I'm sorry.
yes,
I'm not doing it on
Laurel.
purpose. I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yeah, so the people that Jay does not have influence over, Sean, who betrayed him, and Laurel, who he has no influence over at all, he's kind of pushing Asmith to put them up. And then Louis sort of like a placeholder.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm confused because is this the first time Laurel has been on the screen?
I mean, she must have been on the screen at some point, but I don't know that her name was.
Has she gotten a confessional
you've talked
before
about her. Well, you've talked about her because you said Laurel is, Laurel is always the one who gets no votes with two guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so, all right. Nessa was chuffed to bits that she did not get up in the big three. No black spot.
Yeah, I mean, she did what she needed to do, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. And Laurel feels like that Jay has a thing against her. Okay, so now I've got it right in my notes. I realize that there's a difference between Laurel and Krista. Aaron, Asmith, Ben, and Jay refer to themselves as the three amigos here. Are they trying on new nicknames for this group?
Yeah. They go through a lot of names. The triad ultimately is going to be what sticks.
That's what sticks.
But yeah, that's sort of what they're calling themselves here.
Okay. All right. Joe Don and Louis are going to talk. And Joe Don is trying to tell Louis about Nessa getting the pardon. Louis is a little worried, I think, because Louis is up on the block here, David.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to be up there, although he did put himself there by saying, well, you should put me there. But he was always just a pawn.
Okay. According to Jay, the target is going to be Sean. Jupiter is not going to vote for him. Sean could be in big trouble if he doesn't get the pardon. So let's go to Pirate Court. All right. You have to pay Joe Don for the pardon. Louis, according to Asmith, has to go up there because every captain should be up on the stand. Laurel is too middle of the road, according to Asmith. And Sean, needs a chance to clear the air. That's according to Asmith. All right, let's talk defend yourself time. All right, David. Louis is ready to take the test.
Yeah, I don't remember what Louis said.
Yeah.
It was because I knew he was a pawn here. I knew it didn't matter. I thought that the whole Laurel Asmith thing was more amusing. To jump to what she said, where she called out Asmith for, how dare you say that I'm not on a side? What sides are you talking about here?
Did anybody know we're on sides?
Yeah, and it's like, you're playing a game, right? You do realize that. But then Asmith backed off. Oh, side? Did I say side?
Yeah,
I didn't mean side. No, she didn't have a side. And from the interviews I did, when they talked about things, I said, were there sides forming? And they said, yeah, there were sides. And several of the women, like Laurel and probably the other ones we keep confusing her with, they really did kind of, blow with the wind or not pick a side. So for her to act that way was just silly and showed, do you know there's a game going on here?
All right. Sean, he wants to run with this crew. He wants to bleed with this crew. He wants to cook for you. Aaron, I'm not sure I want my cook to also be bleeding.
Yeah, it seems a little bit unsafe, a little unsanitary. I mean, I know being out on a pirate ship in the middle of the ocean may not be the most sanitary place all the time, but still, if we can have the least amount of blood possible, that would be great.
Yeah. I don't mind a rare steak, but yeah, I don't want the cook bleeding.
No, we don't need that mixed in there.
Ideally not. All right. Who's the highest bidder? It's Nessa. Oh, no, that's not good, Sean. That's not good. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no ballots for the mutiny. And once again, Laurel gets no votes. Nobody ever votes for Laurel. Okay.
That's right.
All right. It's Sean versus Louis. And Sean, got the most ballots. $9,000 for the pardon for Nessa. Cut this pirate adrift, will ya? Aaron, how did the votes go here?
So everybody voted for Sean except for Jupiter, who didn't want to vote for Sean, being, co-cooks and everything. So Jupiter voted for Louis.
Okay. Yep. Jupiter. She was a Sean stan. She loved him. Unfortunately, could not have him stay. Was that a showmance, Aaron?
I wouldn't be surprised after the fact to discover but it wasn't apparent on the show.
Okay. All right. There you go. So Joe Don pulls off a master stroke here, David, where that give him the fishy. He was able to pool his money with Nessa to be able to prevent Sean from buying the pardon, which I guess then Louis would have gone home with one vote, right?
Yeah. He would have been he would have been idled out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And instead you had Sean.
Yeah.
Now I did interview Sean afterwards.
Yes.
And I said to him, why did you accept the money from Jay if you weren't going to vote against Cheryl? And he says it was all in the editing. Now, we've never heard that before from anybody on a reality show.
I'm interested.
But he said that he and Jay had a pact early on that if they were on opposite teams, the winner would kick some money back to the loser. And so that was what we saw, was Jay had gotten some money and he was just kicking it back to Sean. And also they had, Jay was trying to convince him, but it wasn't I'll pay you and you do this. He says it was edited to look like he was paid for the vote. But in his words, that's a complete fallacy. I wouldn't take money to vote.
Okay. All right. Sean is a man of high integrity.
That's
I like
right.
Sean. I thought he was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, now, who's the new cook? Did they name one?
As we will see, Jupiter, who had always been there, is going to take over.
She's ready to take over.
Head cook. Yep.
So she got a promotion out of the deal.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Jupiter. Okay, so now here we are at the missing episode number 6. Aaron has a 20-minute recap or retelling of episode 6, which if you want that in more detail, I highly suggest you go and check that out. Mm-hmm. But how do you want to talk through this missing episode 6?
Yeah, this is an episode I wish we did have the footage for, because it's basically centering on people are growing frustrated with Asma's leadership with this triad.
Yeah.
And the women really want to step up and take charge.
Yeah. Because as you point out, that there's really now, because of these rules, which is not really something that gets talked about a lot on the show to this point, where there needs to be like a somewhat even number of men and women on the team. And because there are the 3 guys in the triad who are in power on black, then all of the other remaining guys are going to have to be on the red team. And so there's sort of like a loophole here where, whoa, hold on. If we vote out the rest of the guys, then the triad will eventually be competing against a boat full of women. Not to say women can't be as effective pirates as men, but the women that happen to be on this show are not really delivering in terms of competing against some of the men who are dominating the show.
Yeah, I mean, you have one who injured her knee. You have one who can't swim very well. So yeah, if you can stack more of the women on the other side, then the triad has a better chance of winning.
Like, the game is pretty physical.
Right.
It's not necessarily a fair fight. With all due respect to lady pirates. I'm sure they could have found women who were the equals of these men. They just don't happen to be these women that are on the show.
Right. It is interesting, Aaron, that you said you're sorry that we didn't get to see this one, because I was looking at the recap that my writer, Betsy, did, And at the end of it, she said, this was kind of a boring episode. I mean, even more so than usual.
Maybe that's why they took it down. Like Mark Burnett was like, take that one down.
Yeah, maybe they wrote about it more and more interesting than what it sounds like. I mean, I will say, this expedition, I mean, Joy and Kendra are going to be on the Black and the Red crews respectively. And so it's interesting to see the juxtaposition of Jay trying to help Joy, and then Jodan on the other side trying to help Kendra. And they really, really put Joy in like a prime position on the Black crew. Like, hey, lead us to victory. You got the compass. Tell us where to go. She wants to stop. She wants to have water. It's not working, so they just resume to business as usual, and the Black crew is going to take the day in this expedition and win that week. So yeah.
Okay.
And Asmith is going to do a little change here from what he did before. Usually he splits it evenly. This time he splits it 60-40. So he and the officers can get more of the gold.
Why the shift?
He's the captain.
Trying to, they're feeling themselves as a part of the triad, and Asmith is really falling into this role of, he's a lot more lazy on the ship. We kind of see a lot more clips of him in this episode, if it existed. Visually, of him kind of not really wanting it. He's going to take a nap, He's not going to get up. He's going to get up late and kind of do whatever.
He's got the HOH-itis now.
Yeah, I mean, even Jodan was complaining about the crew working while the officers didn't. And it's like, really? Really, Jodan?
Yeah.
Do you not remember a few days ago?
Well, now he knows the show. Now he knows what's going on. Aaron, it seemed like in your description that the Jodan and Nessa relationship seemed like that they went to another level.
They did. They shared a kiss.
Yes.
And we're going to see more of that in future episodes.
In future episodes. Okay.
Yes.
So who gets the black spot in episode 6?
Yes. So the black spot is going to be Jodan, Kendra, and Joy.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned Kendra, because I didn't even remember there was a Kendra on the show.
And I met Kendra outside the show, so Kendra's like very plopped in my memory. Like, I know who Kendra is.
Yes, what's she like outside the show, Aaron?
I thought Kendra was really nice. I really enjoyed Kendra. We both share in a lack of being able to swim well, so I kind of connected with her in the show. But she was very nice.
Okay. And then, all right, who is the target here from the Asmith side of things?
They basically are thinking, if Jodan is getting this part and stuff, let's not really target him. So we need to get rid of these the women. Basically, if Jodan bids high on this part and gets it, one of Joy or Kendra, who has kind of been dragging along these last few weeks, will go anyway. So it's not, it won't affect them too much. But they are very much on the train of get Jodan and Louis out so that we can have more of an imbalance.
Why not put Louis up here?
It's exactly what I was going to ask. Yeah.
They like Louis too much,
Okay.
I mean, they should be, if they want to make sure they stay in control, they should have put Jodan, Louis, and a strong woman. Because by having 3 men, there is always a bigger chance that any one particular woman will end up on the red crew. So if you only leave weak women, it is more likely that the weaker women will end up on the red crew. And so they don't seem to have quite reached that point yet in this episode, because they put up 2 women who had problems and challenges. No, you should want to keep them because it's more likely to be on the red crew.
Yeah. And basically between the two, Joy throughout all of this has had a lot of friends. I mean, Joy has been very close with Jay and and kind of the triad side of things. whereas Kendra really didn't have those same connections. Kendra's really been more on the Louis side of things. And so Louis and Kendra are basically trying to figure out how to get more votes. And Kendra approaches Nessa and, tries to appeal to her to keep her. And that does end up saving the day in this 3-2 vote here.
Joy seemed awesome in the first couple of episodes. And then I feel like that we kind of lose her.
Yeah. I really liked her, and I felt, and maybe it was after she injured
has a big premiere,
her knee and stuff, where it kind of affected her a lot in future expeditions. But I loved Joy from the jump. Yeah.
All right, David. Anything else you want to say about episode number 6?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know that we got to the vote and everything.
Yes,
but of course it is Joy who ends up getting voted out. Well, you did mention that. So I did, when I interviewed her, I said, did any of the women consider throwing the challenge, the expedition, so that Azimuth and company would be knocked out of power? And she said that she thought about it only after she was black spotted, but she wasn't quite thinking of it in game terms, because she said she figured that the new captain might have thought, if she threw it, and it was obvious that she threw it, the new captain might have said, oh, well, you're weak, so I'm going to put you up also. But I think what she was missing was the women needed to get together and talk about it ahead of time and say, look, don't try to throw this by yourself. Whoever is on Azimuth's crew, throw. And, if there's more than one of you, throw it. And that way we can get someone else into power. And then whoever is on the red crew will have known that these people helped them out. And, Jodan or Louis could have even offered to chip in some cash to pay them, so they weren't just losing out on treasure by doing this. They just weren't thinking strategically enough. It was interesting because as I was rewatching, I was thinking, why aren't they doing this? And then I went back and looked at some of the things I'd said at the time, and I was like, oh, I was thinking the same thing back then. But they weren't.
Yeah. Okay. How much did Jodan have to buy the pardon for? Do you know, Aaron?
Yeah, Jodan bought it for $12,000.
Wow. Okay. All right. But it's just him and Nessa trading money back and forth.
Yeah. So basically, Nessa is very happy that she's not broke anymore with her new $12,000.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about episode number 7. And episode number 7 got a kind of an extended recap at the top.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Very kind.
Right. So that does help at the top of the show. I think that there was was there a week off? Was there some reason for that? I thought that Sam, in chatting about this, said that there was some reason why they do sort of a mid-season sort of catch up. Maybe it was in a new time slot.
Because they moved to Tuesdays.
They did move to Tuesdays. Yeah,
Big Brother, I believe, or going after Big Brother, or something related to that.
Yeah, but by this point in the show, I think that we are very firmly in this storyline of, with all due respect to the women who, other than Nessa, who is sort of painted as Jodan's girlfriend, the storyline is it's Jodan and Louis versus the other 3 guys. That's it. The women are, sadly, not really part of the story.
Yeah. I mean, if you can even remember them.
So let's get into episode number 7. Azimuth, he's got the triad. Jodan is trying to get the crew worked up against them. And I love Jodan's arc, where he started the show. He was the captain. He was the guy that everybody was talking about, who does this guy think he is? Jodan, he's taking all the money. Look at him. He's eating all the food. We hate that guy. And now he's like the king in exile, trying to get everybody worked up to go after the triad.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see some of the effects of just constantly losing and not really getting a lot of food that Jupiter's doling out here. because I mean, Louis is commenting that he's losing weight and
not enough gruel.
Jodan's like, Jodan's like, we're not getting enough gruel.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the triad really is in a very strong position to, I guess, for some reason, I guess they have the power to force people to do tasks on the ship and kind of delegate exactly what they're doing. So they're trying to give Jodan and Louis the most strenuous task. And Asmith does have a very interesting accent here. I don't know what he's going for at this point, but like go hoist the sails so we can have some fun time later or something, something like that.
Yes, he says, get this done so we can have some fun. David, this was some emergent gameplay here from Asmith of, I'm going to make Jodan and Louis do all the chores on the ship so they'll be tired when we have to go into the challenge. And I'm going to make them go scrub the barnacles off the side of the ship.
Yeah. And, you know, I asked Jodan when I interviewed him, what would have happened if you had just told Asmith to stick it? And he said he doesn't know. You know, he didn't try. Again, his military past came into play and the captain gave him an order. He went off and did what the captain said.
Mm-hmm. This is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you're the captain. You get to eat. You can make your competitors like do chores. Like, this isn't a show. This is like pledging a fraternity. you get to torture these people, and you're like living large.
It's kind of like on Survivor, where some people make other people get firewood.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's just like very weird.
It was very weird, but you know, to make maybe a future reference here, it's kind of reminiscent of JC feeding the house guests all these really fatty bad food so that they would not be able to compete in the challenge. So this is kind of the opposite of that.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So here's from Big Brother 20. If you flash forward.
I made like a pasta with hot dogs, ground beef, and everything I found around the house. This is like a beef sauce. Come on and get nice and fat, my sweets.
But it's like the opposite of that.
He should have been the cook. They would have been living large on that ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. Break out the chest of Zanzibar. Time for the Purser's treasure. 5v5. All right. Finally, this is going to be the matchup. The people are even, and it's going to be Louis and Jodan, their big showdown against the Triad. Okay. All right. So, Aaron, what could you tell us about the quest for the Purser's prize?
Yeah. Insert Hamilton Purser joke here.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is wild because this kind of shows to be maybe the downside of every week. I mean, I know it's pirates and treasure hunting, but like the linear path, because it basically they were kind of running around the island and had to pull up this barrel that would have a clue. And the clue told them to find an X, and the black crew just jutted off to find this X. And when the red crew pulls up their barrel, Krista's like, oh, isn't that the X over there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I guess we'll just skip the rest and just run down there.
There's a lot of like, the other team is already going that way. Let's just go follow them. Because it's like they're both looking for the same thing. So... yeah, David, it's not like it's almost like if this was a Survivor obstacle course. It's like, oh, okay, well, the other team is, let's just go to the mat because that's where the other team is about to go.
Right. I mean, you can be behind the entire time, have no clue what you're doing, just follow the other crew. And then when you see them digging, jump in and dig next to them or dig where they've already dug and just dig deeper as we saw. I mean, it just comes down to, okay, you happen to dig in the right spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I almost wish to maybe make it more balanced if they had similar clues in past, but the treasure was actually hidden at different spots, because then they there's not the benefit. They could be running around the island looking for something that you're not actually looking for. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking that was going to happen in one of these where I was, I don't know. I guess I kept getting fooled. I was like, oh, well, certainly this time they're not digging in the exact same location. Oh, yeah, they are. Or even when they had to, I guess when they had to turn the dials, that was, slightly different. But otherwise,
right.
Yes, it's always digging in the same location.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's get back to the ship after the black team has won. Jay's really always the MVP on these, I feel like, Aaron. Right?
Yeah. I mean, Jay's found a few, Ben's found a few. Asmith was certainly a hero in some of the early weeks. So, yeah, the Triad has equally been a big contributor to a lot of their wins and holding strong here.
Hey, don't forget John in the first episode. And how was he rewarded?
I will never forget John. If John is out there, John, you are the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
You're the greatest scientist / exotic dancer we've ever had.
Did you interview John?
I did interview John.
Yes. Do you have any highlights from your interview with John, the scientist / exotic dancer?
He said a few things, like he talked about where he was working at the time, and he said he worked for one of Richard Feynman's assistants. At first I thought he was going to say he worked for Richard Feynman. I was like, whoa, because Feynman was known to, in addition to being a scientist, also occasionally got naked and played the bongos. So he was linking himself to being a scientist exotic dancer. But he mostly, I focused on, the things that were memorable were some of the things he said about the game. But yes, he did say a lot of interesting things about himself that it was just, I'd love to know what he was doing now also. I mean, I would hope that he is.
We think we want to know what he's doing now.
I think we do. I think we want to know what he's doing.
Yeah, we definitely want to know.
Now, we might not. We might not.
Hey, the last time I was on a podcast with you, one of the people we were talking about reached out and contacted us and became one of the best Talking with T-Birds. So I know there's no Talking with T-Bird for Pirate
Talking
Master,
with John,
but, yeah, but maybe John will reach out. Well, he will hear this and he will reach out and know
Today's
John.
Guest has been many different titles over the course of his life. He's a scientist. He's an exotic dancer. He has gone on to steal compasses and steal our hearts, too. Please welcome our guest, John.
He did
I would
tell
listen
me
to that.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Wow,
He did
John,
tell me that.
What an intro.
He did tell me that stealing the compasses was a mistake. I remember him telling me that he
hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Even without a compass.
Right.
Okay. So, all right, let's go back on the boat and more mo money, not mo problems for the Triad. They are celebrating, and there's some talk about the women trying to finally get together. Aaron, is it too late?
Yeah, I mean they've been trying to get together, and it just hasn't clicked. But I mean, there could be a chance for a big mutiny here. Now, we did have Jupiter getting some more coins from them. She brought them snacks, and they were able to give her some extra gold, and almost as much as they got. So I think, that's sort of a caveat of having the mo money. If you use it in the right way, you can kind of influence important people to not vote against you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. Jay is trying to get some extra money to Jupiter. David, what is Jay trying to pull here?
I think, like Aaron said, just have influence. He influences people in different ways, and I think we've seen that throughout the whole run of the season so far. That he just has different ways of controlling everyone. And now I don't remember who wins. I'm not sure I even watched it after it went off the air and onto CBS.com.
It's new to you.
But I mean, if Jay doesn't win, I will be surprised. I will watch the rest of these and follow
and don't spoil
along.
us. We're unspoiled.
No, that's what I mean. I don't remember.
Aaron, are we in the episodes yet that we're still airing? Is this the final episode that airs on CBS?
No. So episode 8 is the final episode that airs. And there's a reason I broke up this episode and 8 to start next week because, I don't know if I should give the hint now.
Okay.
Or
all right.
later,
All right. We'll watch it. All right. So, okay. Next time out, we'll have episodes 8, 9, 10, 11 for Pirate Master Chapter 3. Okay. So let's start to get some talk about the black spot. That's something that's on the minds of the Triad. Also, could Nessa and Jodan just keep the pardon going back and forth? Now, this is the week that Jodan is vulnerable. Can't have the pardon back to back.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've got the money.
I know they're tossing the pardon back and forth, but it's almost disadvantageous because it always just seems that the person that has the pardon, it's not the week that they actually need it because whoever is in power is just going to put up the other,
they've made it too obvious.
Or the person that's losing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it is too obvious, but at least it gets you another week. And in that other week, in theory, you can, knock out the current captain and get another one and change your whole game up. In practice, that clearly hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the Triad is talking. All right. What about Louis? He's a pawn. We'll put him up. That's a good move. And then let's put up now, finally, they've sort of arrived at Big Brother 5 strategy of they're like, oh, what if we put Nessa and Jodan on the block? Then it doesn't even matter who has the pardon. And then Louis is the pawn. Everybody likes him. And so one of them will go home. It's great. It's a brilliant plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And let's not forget Kendra's play here because I think Kendra did a very good job at keeping herself off this.
Well, tell us, what did she do?
Block here. So basically, Kendra's feeling like, I'm very nervous about bidding for this pardon. I know I was just up this last episode, so I need to make sure I can stay no matter what. So she goes to Jay and says, I'm a vote that could be kept around. I know I'm weaker than everybody else or not as good as everybody else at these challenges. But what I am good at is, being a strategic vote for you. So whatever you want me to do, I'm honest, I'm loyal. Just tell me who to vote for. I will do it. I can get out threats for you. Somebody strong from the other team. I can get rid of Jodan or Nessa for you. And they strike a deal where Kendra would be safe if Jay tells her what to do and, where to vote. So in that kind of a position, I feel like Kendra played her cards well here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. She'll stay off the block, David.
Yeah. Actual strategy, from someone other than Jay. It's amazing.
Okay. So then we have our summonses handed out. Maybe a mutiny. We could get our first mutiny, Aaron.
I was very excited about this live when I was watching it. I was like, oh, but I mean, the caveat for mutinies is that you always need everybody to do it. And so there's always going to be somebody influenced by the captain. I feel like it would take a very, very strange set of events for all of a sudden everybody to be motivated to just upheave the captain out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not just everybody. So this is one thing I talked to John about. And he said the rules at Pirate Court is if everybody votes for it. So there's a unanimous vote. A mutiny is declared. But then the officers get a chance to vote. If the officers both vote for mutiny, the captain goes. If the officers do not unanimously vote, then the captain has sole choice over who goes. And so voting for mutiny puts someone in danger if they might not be. It's kind of like if there's a tie in Survivor and you go to the rock draw. Well, hold on a second. I was just safe, but now I'm very motivated to change my vote. Here, you're very motivated to not mutiny against the captain if you're safe. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, the officers have to agree. What situation would you have where both officers who are getting well fed and well paid by the captain are going to turn on him. I don't see it happening. I just think this aspect of the game was not well thought out by producers.
No. And I feel like it should have been a mutiny against the administration, and maybe not just the captain. Maybe where like if they all decide to mutiny, maybe that it flops, and maybe the captain and the officers are the one that are on the chopping block, and then everybody else votes for that. Then I could kind of see a mutiny come into play. But if you need literally everybody on the ship to just mutiny against the captain, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And it's also just not very realistic for pirates because they didn't all wait until every single one of them. They were obviously, you see it in all the pirate movies. There's always a few people who stand with the captain. And like you said, go against those people too.
Yeah. No scenario where like, why would the officers ever, unless it was like, and maybe we get to a point where it's like, hey, we have the numbers. That one of us we're going to mutiny. One of us is going to be in charge next, and then you two are both going to get black spots if you don't vote with us right now.
Or there could have been that scenario where the women got together and say, hey, if you don't mutiny with us, we will throw this next challenge and force you off anyway.
But even still, it's like, actually, we're just going to not go with it and just send home one of the people that we put the black spot on.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I think that maybe with a season 2, they might have been able to tweak some of these rules, but did not come to pass. Okay. All right. So, no mutiny. We're getting a little bit of the schmoopy time with Nessa and Joe Don, Aaron. The Rob and Amber of Pirate Master.
Yeah, for a topical thing at the time, because this was spring of 2007, fall of 2006, we had Adam and Candace doing the same thing when Candace was eliminated. So that was one of my first thoughts at the time. Yes. Yeah.
So we had that going on, and then we also had the relationship between Louis is teaching Laurel. Do I have that right? Louis is teaching Laurel how to steer the ship.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
He was teaching one of them how to steer the ship.
Yep.
There you go. All right. So, all right. Getting closer to Pirate Court. Jay is telling Kendra, you got to vote for Joe Don. That's what you need to do. But Kendra's conflicted because Joe Don is the best chance to take down the triad. What do I do? Decision time.
Yeah, if you say that you're going to stand by Jay, you got to stand by Jay. You can't waver.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to Pirate Court. All right. All right. So we get some explanations from Azimuth about why these three people. Nessa, she had some dissatisfaction with Azimuth. That's why she's got to go. Louis, he's a pawn. He doesn't quite say it, but there were so like the Cameron Dado is like, you're willing to risk him? Like, yeah, I think so. I put him up, basically. Joe Don, he's a threat. Must get rid of Joe Don. All right. Defend yourself. You want to go through any highlights from Defend Yourself, Aaron?
Ooh. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, just Louis says he's the father.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
and he'll take the test. Yeah. He'll take the test.
Yeah. And then, as I started the podcast, if Louis is the father, I'm the warrior.
Yes.
Which to me was a metaphor that just kind of went sideways.
Yeah. I tried to transcribe a lot of this. He's Joe Don says, I'll skip the formalities. Nessa's holding the pardon. All right. You can't vote for her. If Louis is the father, I'm the warrior. I'm not afraid to speak up. The father can't keep you safe. He can only do so much. Hey, Kendra, I have a fond memory of you and I in the ocean. And I took your hand. You need me to save you. You got to keep me. Okay? Joe Don is very good at Pirate Court.
I love each and every one of Joe Don's Pirate Court speeches, even all the way back to episode 1 with the we don't need your compasses. We don't need you. You know?
yeah, he's good. He's really good in these spots.
Yeah,
I didn't like Jodan in the beginning of the show, and I love him now. He's my favorite character.
Jodan, JD, hey, Jodan is really. I mean, these 7 episodes have been a really good arc for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's so good
till right about now.
He's so good. He has so much. He has so much gravitas.
Yes. Well, because he was taking everything so seriously. You know, he thought he was back in the military.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
yeah.
It was wonderful. All right. So then they're talking about can they afford to lose Jodan? That's gonna be the question. Ultimately, Nessa is gonna get the pardon. $5,000, but she didn't need it. No ballots for the mutiny. I'm like, we're gonna lose either Louis or Jodan here. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Nessa spent money here.
Yeah. She didn't spend that much.
Yeah. I guess my thought would be, like, if I'm going to be vulnerable next week if I buy it. I mean, maybe she thought on the off chance she could go.
So we're going to see. Is it going to be the father or the warrior? What do you think, David?
Well, I thought the whole time.
It's like a Game of Thrones wedding.
Yeah, well, I thought the whole time, and it turned out to be true. You know, in the end, it is still a social game, and Louis was just friends with everyone. So even though Louis wasn't as good as Jodan in the challenges, they had to let go of the warrior so they could keep the father.
Okay. And then we get Jodan and Nessa will have a kiss. That much like we talked about with Mike Bloom and Frail Mary earlier this week, of a kiss is nice, but if she really cared about him, she would have given him the pardon. I don't know if you could do it.
Yeah, and that was it struck me as I was watching it that went on longer than I expected it to on the show.
I was looking at this. I was like, wow, they really had this camera panned in on that kiss for a solid 7+ seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. I did ask Jodan after in the interview. I said, "What's the status of your relationship with Nessa?" And he said, "The status is a closely guarded secret."
Oh,
so
okay.
I did not have time to look.
Are
up
they
and
married
see.
now, David? Do you know?
I didn't have a chance to. You know, Jodan, reach out. You like John. You know, reach out and let us know.
Or Nessa, I'd love.
Or Nessa.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So there we go. That's Pirate Master episodes 4, 5, 6, 7. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do a couple of quick questions from the listeners of Rob's podcast? We have been posting a question thread in our Facebook group for anybody who's been watching along with us to talk about everything that's going on here on Pirate Master. And let's go to, of course, Aaron's close collaborator, Nick Fishman, who is the, is he the J to your Asmith, would you say? You, Nick Fishman, and Jordan Kalish, that's like the triad, right?
The new triad.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We formed around Pirate Master and never let go ever since.
Yes, okay. Nick wants to know, do you think something like the Royal Pardon would work with the fire tokens? I have to say I had the same sort of thought about, okay, we have the fire tokens. Could there be like a hidden immunity idol that gets bought every round where now, okay, do I go all in with my fire tokens to buy the hidden immunity idol when I need it?
Ooh, I do like a caveat of maybe going all in on an idol if you need it. And then that's it. I mean, you don't have any fire tokens after that. So maybe your fire tokens are released into the survivor economy.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too as I was watching. I'm like, well, this is what Jeff Probst wants fire tokens to be, except they're playing with real money here. And, you know, I think you guys mentioned it last week that fire tokens, the problem was you only get like 1 or 2. Whereas here you have literally thousands of dollars to play with, which gives you more flexibility. You know, do I want to bid 12,000 or 5,000? Where with fire tokens, it's like, do I want to give 1 or 2? And so I do think that if, there was fire tokens were in a larger amount. I think it was, didn't Liana think on the B&B that they, when they were doing their predictions, didn't she think that fire tokens were going to be in the thousands or something like that? In any case, yeah, I think if they now the problem would be, how are you going to carry around a big sack of fire tokens? But, it is interesting that this was sort of fire tokens before Jeff Probst had the idea there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. We will get the chance to talk with Liana on our next Pirate Master outing. And so we will find out if she thought there would be thousands of fire tokens in Survivor Season 40 Winners at War. Liana will join Aaron and myself as we talk about Pirate Master episodes 8, 9, 10, and 11. None of them are missing, right, Aaron?
They're all there.
Okay.
Get ready.
All right, so we're very excited about that. David, what else has been going on for you?
What else has been going on for me? Well, more what's going to be going on. Starting next week, Jessica and I will return for not Why Blank Lost, but Why Blank Won. In this case, of course, next week for you will be going over Nicaragua. And we will be talking about why Fabio won, or maybe more appropriately, how the heck did Fabio win?
Yes, perfect. So I think that's going to be a fun companion.
Yeah, and we won't be doing it every week.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick and choose, I think, the ones where it's the most, how the heck did that happen? Mm-hmm. Or good examples of, okay, this person did a lot of stuff. We're not going to go for the middle of the road. We're going to hit it one way or the other. So it'll be probably, depending on how things shake out. Yeah. It'll be every few weeks, probably.
Yeah. And we're doing a similar thing with T-Bird, where sometimes, like, if there's a T-Bird interview that coincides with a season, I think that's a fun way too, as we're going back through all of these different seasons. So that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good to get some more YX1 back in the mix. As David, on the day we're recording this, we hear that Survivor is starting to crank up the machine again.
That's right. That's why we got to get back and practice. Mm-hmm. Just so we can be ready to talk about it when hopefully in the fall. Presumably in the fall, and then of course there's seasons of Survivor Africa, Survivor Australia. Mm-hmm. All of these are all revving up or have revved up already.
Okay. All right. Aaron, this was so fun to go back through more Pirate Master. Thank you again for your duty to the Pirate Master community to create episode 6 for all the eternity.
Yeah. I love Pirate Master so much, and I really do hope maybe, it could pop up on Paramount Plus when that happens.
We didn't see anybody. We didn't see like Joe Don and Louie hiking up Paramount Mountain.
I hope they would go the route of, having all of the CBS shows up on Paramount Plus. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, finding some lost gems.
We didn't see like Jonathan from Kid Nation putting the gold stars around the Paramount Mountain.
These stars are worth their weight in gold.
Yes. Okay. Aaron, what are you up to these days?
I am finishing school.
Yes.
And working jobs. And switching. I'm looking to switch to becoming a full stack developer, or getting into web development. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
I
thought you meant a stack of gold coins. You were going to develop a.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to get a full stack of gold coins and just take all the loot with my own triad.
So, Aaron, where can people follow you?
People can follow me on Twitter at @AARobertson94 or on Instagram at @TheOrangeAA. I maybe post things sometimes.
All right. Well, we will be back with more Pirate Master, and look for us. We've been dropping these on Fridays. So myself and Aaron and Liana Boris from Science, she'll be joining us to talk about our third chapter of Pirate Master. And then soon we'll tell you what we have in store for March on the RHAP Rewind. It's been a lot of fun so far. So enjoy the next installments of Pirate Master, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.